So worried about your children's health, you have to move them out of your home. A Charlotte mother says that's what she had to do because of mold. News Channel 36 reporter Tony Burbeck took our mobile newsroom to hear her story, and it is one that all renters can learn from.
Courtney King's baby girl and 2 boys aren't here anymore.
She had a lung infection from inhaling all this moist air.
King is sick too. This doctor's note cites mold growth in her apartment.
It was right here in this corner.
These the before pictures. Initially, King says the apartment told her,
"This is not mold, this is mildew. And there's nothing they can do about it."
It seems there's not much the city can do either. Code enforcement can suspect mold, but can't say it because they don't have the equipment to test for it. They did cite the complex for unsanitary conditions. That led to this, the after pictures. The Greenbrier at Charlotte Apartments painted over it, spots still poke through.
This is the mold that's coming through my walls.
King says she told property managers her family was sick.
And they won't let me break my lease. They won't move me to another apartment.
Even though the apartment is damp, dishwasher water won't drain and the smell will make you gag.
It's not good.
If you suspect mold, the doctor's note is leverage to break a lease. It can also help code enforcement relocate you.
That she has mold.
We call the property managers about that. They say they'll try to help King fix the problem and wish she'd given them more time. King says she's complained for months.
It's always next week, and then when next week comes, oh, it's something else.
In Charlotte, Tony Burbeck, News Channel 36.
Well, another developing story. Some LAPD officers at the Southeast Community Station say going to work there every day is making them sick, literally. The police union has released photos from the station in South LA. They say there is visible black mold around the air ducts. At least 100 officers have filed medical claims for respiratory ailments. The union says the air system on the roof is covered in bird droppings and feathers. The Police Protective League held a news conference just a short time ago.
I came down with what was diagnosed as bacterial pneumonia. I was hospitalized 8 days, and during that time period, probably 5-6 days, I was constantly fed anywhere from 3 to 5 antibiotics. I was kept in an isolated room where if my friends or anyone came to visit me, they had to have a respiratory protection.
Unbelievable to hear the details. Police union officials want the city to clean up this mess and detox the entire building, or they say they will file a lawsuit.
Absolutely disgusting.
Well, one man who lives in DeKalb County says he is sick of the mold in his apartment.
After several complaints, some painters did some work to make it look better, but mold experts say that's only covering up a health problem. CBS Atlanta's Mike Moore is in DeKalb County with this story.
Well, we're along Briarwood Road in northeast Atlanta. Over my shoulder there, the Tempo Continental Apartments where Troy Tucker lives. And he says he wants to get out of his apartment quick, fast, and in a hurry. The reason being that his apartment poses a serious health risk.
They basically just repainted over top of the mold, and the entire wall was covered with mold.
Troy Tucker shows us a paint job completed last week after several complaints to apartment managers. These are pictures taken before the painters came in. Take a look at the ceiling, walls, and air ducts. On the surface, it appears to be a problem.
There is mold here. The microbiology reports reveal, yes, this is definitely mold.
Michael Pugliese is a certified mold technician and showed us the report dated June 30th and says a paint job only masks a serious threat. And if any water seeps through, fungus will grow.
Water leaking around the window frame, and then from other units above where we see in the HVAC room that there's multiple leaks.
That has caused mold to reappear, where those spores can become airborne, and that can make you sick.
And they told me I have fungus, which I'm on oral medication for fungus that's been in my mouth for 3 months.
Tucker, who has been in this apartment for about 5 months, claims mold here is directly responsible for his illnesses.
Can I talk to you about a complaint that someone has about mold?
We asked about the work done inside the apartment and later called the owner of the complex, who agreed to speak with us next week. Meanwhile, Tucker says the complex will not move him to another apartment, but says this is not where he needs to be.
I'm hoping and praying I can just get out of here as soon as I can. I'm looking, I asked family to try to help me.
Okay, now I called the DeKalb County Health Department and learned the protocol for addressing such a problem. First of all, Mr. Tucker needs to call the DeKalb County Code Enforcement. They will come out and then they will assess if, in fact, there is some sort of risk to the public. If they deem that is the case, then they will refer that case to the county health department. We have since put in a call to Mr. Tucker to let him know that's what he needs to do.
New this half hour, living with mold. Residents at an apartment complex in Mount Kisco say they have simply had enough.
Yeah, an increasing number of residents are coming forward now with that complaint about the sickness, and now they're taking action. They live in Pinecrest Manor in Mount Kisco. Marcus Solis is live from there tonight. Marcus.
And Phil, residents have been complaining of asthma, other respiratory conditions, headaches, thyroid conditions. They say it cannot be a coincidence. They blame toxic mold. Tanya Cooper has been living out of her car, even though she has an apartment in the Pinecrest Manor complex. Cooper says mold in the walls, carpet, even around her front door is making her sick. She says she couldn't figure out what was wrong until she saw an allergist.
After he did the breathing test and the skin test and all that stuff, he said, "Do you live around mold?" And I said, "No, of course not. My place looks fine. I don't see any mold." He said, "Go back and check again." So she did, and soon found other neighbors in the 70-unit complex with similar complaints.
We were just diagnosed with severe asthma, and I recently had a tumor removed near my right lung.
Residents say shoddy construction and poor drainage have caused leaks and moisture, which has resulted in mold near pipes and under carpets in several units. Air quality tests confirmed the presence of the fungus, which can cause serious health problems. Last night at a heated meeting, management vowed to, quote, fix the problem as quickly as possible.
But it's a very detailed and technical problem. Costly. And costly as well.
Michelle Hernandez was put up in a hotel while her kitchen was renovated. New cabinets replacing the old ones that had been streaked with black mold. The lawyer representing a number of residents says these are Band-Aid fixes.
They will come in, paint, try to clean the mold with bleach, and you're addressing the symptom, but you're not addressing the cause of the problem.
And so at least 10 residents have filed lawsuits. Now, many of these apartments are subsidized by HUD through Section 8 housing, and residents are hoping the federal government will step in. We're live in Mount Kisco. Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Marcus.
A place like home, but what if your home was filled with toxic mold? That's what one woman says is the case. Hear her story.
It has been 16 months since Hurricane Wilma, and that has meant a 16-month nightmare for one local woman.
She says her condo has so much water in the walls that dangerous mold continues to grow inside. And now she's going after the people she blames for not fixing the problem. News 12's Lindsay Cohen is in Boynton Beach, where the woman hopes her story can help others.
There is toxic mold in the ceiling and in the walls, according to the woman who owns this condo. It is so bad, in fact, she says she shouldn't be living here. And now she is suing the people she claims should have been responsible.
You can see in my unit where the water stains are.
Boynton Beach resident Leah Koritsky knows very well about the water stains and the walls detaching from her home. It has been a rough 13 months since she moved out of the condo she owned and loved.
I had a company come up and do air quality tests and whatnot, and he read me the report over the phone, and I packed a suitcase and I left.
It all began when Hurricane Wilma blew through South Florida in October 2005. Koritsky says the roof to the building was damaged and not adequately repaired, and so water seeped into the walls and the ceiling, creating a toxic mold. Now she is suing the Venetian Terrace Condo Association, who her attorney says should have made the necessary repairs.
What they need to do is to timely make inspections, timely make repairs, and then they wouldn't have this problem.
My ceiling and had damage to it, and I could put my fingers through the wall. The walls were very soft.
We went looking for answers from association leaders this afternoon, but had no luck. So for now, Koritsky waits for answers and an end to her nightmare.
I'm tired and I just want to get on with my life.
Koritsky's attorney says he believes there may be other condo owners in this complex with similar problems who haven't yet come forward. Meanwhile, our calls to the property manager and to the attorney representing Venetian Terrace were not returned. In Boynton Beach, Lindsay Cohen, WPEC News 12.
Koritsky is seeking monetary damages, but her attorney tells us he also just wants the association to make the necessary repairs.
You may have heard about toxic black mold syndrome. Research shows as many as 10 million people in the country may be affected by the disease. Dr. Elizabeth Vaughn is here today to discuss this illness, which is frequently misdiagnosed. I guess first off, what exactly is black mold?
Well, black mold is the proper name is Stachybotrys chicharum. It's one of many sources of toxins that can cause illness in animals and people. It's a mold that makes biotoxins, which is a broader term for toxins made by living things, like black mold, other toxic molds, the fungus candida, spider or snake bites, Lyme disease, or other tick-borne illnesses.
Okay, so now that we know what it is, where can you get exposed to this black mold?
Well, specifically black mold, you're going to get exposed to it where there's been water damage from leaky pipes or flooding or buildings that are built too tight. Many cases of sick building syndrome are actually due to mold because the buildings are built too tightly.
Now, we were talking about this earlier, and you said some people will get sick from it, but not everybody gets sick.
And that's why it's so hard to pin down sometimes. The reason is it's all in your genes, specifically your HLA genes. These are the ones that have to do with transplantation, etc. If your body gets exposed to toxins in food, water, air, insect bites, and you have good HLA genes, they make proteins that tag the toxins so your body can get rid of it. If you have inadequate HLA genes, your body can't see the toxins, so they hang around and trigger a cascade of pro-inflammatory reactions and really mess up your hormones.
So let's say people have those kind of genes. What kind of diagnoses could they have because of the toxins?
Well, it can act like many, many different things. Chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, neurological disorders that look like MS or ALS or dementia, psychiatric illnesses like ADD and ADHD or depression. Sometimes people are just fat and they can't lose weight no matter what they do. There's a long list of symptoms that you can get.
And that's the thing, there's so many of these things which are very kind of common. Is there any kind of pattern to it?
There is a pattern to it. When you look at the list, it's a very long list, and the problem is that it will change over time. And the symptoms will change from week to week. It'll involve a number of different organ systems in the body. There's also over 100 different toxins that these molds produce, so each person will react to it slightly differently, and that's why lots of people just think you're crazy.
And that's never a good thing.
That's never a good thing.
Okay, so let's say you may think I have this or I have this mold in my home. Any suggestions?
Well, first off, take a look at the article in Natural Triad. Take a look at the article in Natural Triad this month. Because if you think that your illness fits this picture, find someone who's knowledgeable about toxic black mold and get some help. If you and your doctor know you're sick, but you can't figure out what you have, or if they think you're crazy or you think you're crazy, don't give up. Get educated and get tested.
And that's right. Education is always key with something like this.
That's right. There are a couple of different websites that I refer to in the article that are so useful for testing of neurotoxins, and also just get yourself educated. And that way you'll have a better idea of what to do.
Wonderful. As always, thank you so much, Dr. Vaughn.
Thanks, Melissa.
Did you know that there's over 10,000 species of mold, all of which can be harmful to you and your family's health? September is Mold Awareness Month, and we have some information to help keep you and your family healthy. Joining me now, Jeff Santana with Restoration One, as well as Amanda Bartalis. Thank you both for being here. Do appreciate it. So let's start, if I could start with you first, actually, Jeff. How prevalent is mold? Because we see some of the pictures, in fact, we're getting ready to show, and that's clearly terrible mold cases, but, you know, oftentimes mold starts with small and then rapidly grows, correct?
Correct. And I think you find mold in just about everywhere, actually. Mold is indoors, it is outdoors. No matter how good you are at keeping your house clean, you're going to have mold spores in your home. It's really whether or not you create an environment that allows the mold to grow. So if the conditions are correct and the mold can start growing, then you have growth that starts within your house.
And we assume, of course, then, Amanda, that if these conditions that Jeff is referring to is having any kind of moisture, what would you say is the biggest culprit? Is it rain that comes in, and comes in behind the wall, or maybe leaking pipes?
It's all of that. I mean, anywhere that mold's growing is in a place that the humidity level is above what it should be. If there's water in your house that's not supposed to be there, the mold's going to start growing. It likes to drink water and grows off of that, and it can grow on any organic substrate after that. So it can start eating your carpet, your furniture. It can get into your AC system, and these are problems that are in most houses. And people have, there's over 30 health-related illnesses that can be caused by mold, including asthma and respiratory problems. So
then how do you know as a homeowner then if there's not obvious signs? I mean, where should you look then? Do you look kind of in the corner where the carpet is, maybe near windows? I mean, where do you find is the biggest problem?
You look anywhere that you're going to have water. So you want to look in your drip pans underneath your refrigerator. You want to look in your AC system. You want to look at those filters. You want to look in your ducts. You want to look at the windowsills, places that we have condensation in Florida. All of these problems are, once again, water related. And, looking up in your chimneys and stuff that, just go around and look around your house in the nooks and crannies. Look at your ceilings.
And you wouldn't necessarily think that you would need to do that unless you start. I mean, are there signs that you have mold?
It depends. Some people are more susceptible than others to the symptoms that you may experience, such as asthma, or if you already have allergies that may trigger your allergies to kick off. Other times it might just be you're smelling an aroma that makes you wonder what's
going on. It's not the garbage can, right? Yeah, exactly. So what does Restoration One do then? I mean, how do you treat this?
Restoration One is a company that specializes in damage caused by water, mold, fire, smoke, and other things. We come in and we will assess the situation. We will find the cause of the problem, and then we'll do everything we can to remove in its entirety all of the mold that's associated with what's going on.
We're seeing some of the pictures, and you can see that walls are torn out and whatnot. It sounds like it can be a very expensive process. Does insurance typically cover you coming in and removing this, or not necessarily? I'm remembering the policy that I have, and it usually says in big letters, does not cover in cases of mold.
Mold, certainly in Florida, it requires a special rider to get coverage for mold. Otherwise, it may not be covered by the insurance policy.
And do you recommend people get that rider, considering what you have seen?
Yeah, in the state of Florida, absolutely.
Really? Is there anything that we can do as a homeowner, if we see some mold maybe, up on a ceiling or in the corner of carpet? I mean, can we just will bleach do it?
No.
Bleach does not kill mold. It's a huge myth.
Really?
It does not kill mold at all.
Is there some household product you can use for small mold cases?
There's one that I've seen at Home Depot. I forget the name of the product, but they do have one that actually helps a bit. But for the most part, mold can't be removed simply by spraying it and walking away. You can't. You have to have something that can penetrate into the substance that it's growing to get rid of it. And for the most part, you're going to have to remove it.
Wow. Bleach, go figure. Guys, thanks very much for being here. Jeff, Amanda, do appreciate your insight. If you missed any of this great information, certainly in this interview, we will post it in its entirety on our website, newsforjax.com, a little later this morning. There you can also find the contact information for Restoration One.
Door. As you can see, my laundry room is gone. Is what it does, and that's why we usually see a lot of the black mold. We took in a lot of mold really fast. When we evacuated on Monday, we thought we were under control. We had tarped, did everything we could. We had buckets collecting, but when we came back, it was a lot of mold. And so they're opening up walls to a lot of mold in the house. Yes. Yeah, we were evacuated Monday morning they evacuated us. 2.
And the mold inside.
The mold inside, that's all got to go. We're keeping our fingers crossed with our insurance companies that everybody's gonna, help us so that we can rebuild our homes.
Top, and then just started finding anywhere I could, possibly. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a 9-year-old daughter, and of course we want her to be safe. We've been very cautious when tearing out some of the sheetrock and the carpet. We've been wearing masks. We've got a dehumidifier inside right now that's helping try to dry some of the walls that were super affected. So, but again, yeah, I'm going to fog, as you can see. I'm going to fog later this afternoon, spray, all kinds of stuff, and trying to keep the pool cleaned out and all that stuff. So.